This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now, an update from the First Alert Weather Center.
Well, we are still looking at strong winds across West Texas. It's been a very blustery evening out there. And your First Alert Weather Day, again, the big headline is the wind and some blowing dust that has moved across. Now, fire danger concerns are going down as humidity levels are going up now, but wind chills first thing in the morning could be rather cold, down into the upper teens, it looks like, across parts of the Permian Basin. This was what it looked like at sunset today with all that dust moving in. Here's what it looks like now across the areas. We have strong west winds, areas of blowing dust, knocking visibility down to 4 miles in Odessa, 2.5 in the Wink area, and 3.5 mile visibility over towards Big Spring as that dust is being propelled by winds gusting close to 50 miles an hour across the Permian Basin back towards the western Permian Basin. Right now, gusts are nearing 50 for Midland, Odessa, and again, this is spreading off to the east. And you can see back to the west, we're still dealing with wind gusts up to 53 miles an hour in Carlsbad, so we're not done yet. It looks like these winds are going to stay up above 40 miles an hour through the overnight hours as temperatures are starting to cool off. You can see that colder air moving in with this front. We're into the 40s now for Carlsbad and the Hobbs area at the present time. So these high wind warnings across the western Permian Basin into the Trans-Pecos and mountain areas are going to continue for those gusts above 55 miles an hour. We could see gusts upwards to 50 to 55 miles an hour in the wind advisory area, including Big Spring, Midland, and Odessa, as we're forecasting wind chill values down into the lower 20s to upper teens first thing in the morning hours. So keep that in mind. And you can check those temperatures, wind chills, and the wind anytime with our CBS7 First Alert Weather app, a free download for your iPhone, your Android phone. Be sure to get that today.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for joining us for CBS 7 News at 9 on the CW and the First Alert YouTube channel. I'm Lauren Munt, and we start tonight tracking crime. Odessa police arrested 2 people for several drug and firearm charges after shots were fired at Westwood Square Apartments late Tuesday night. OPD reports that just before midnight on Tuesday, officers responded to a shots fired call. 24-year-old Pamela Melendez told officers that her boyfriend, 23-year-old Isaiah Bezerel, fired a gun in the apartment, breaking a window and firing through a closet wall into their neighbor's apartment. After conducting a search, officers also found marijuana, THC, ecstasy, MDMA pills, and 9 more guns in the apartment, 2 of which were stolen, and 1 that had the serial numbers removed. Both Melendez and Bezerel were arrested and charged with multiple possession charges and stolen firearm-related charges. For the full list, you can head to our website, cbs7.com. And this man, 30-year-old Randy Baker Jr., was also arrested by OPD early this morning. Baker reportedly shot a gun inside a house after getting into an argument with his mother and a friend. Police were able to get them out and arrested Baker for multiple charges, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and for a warrant out of New Mexico for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And back in December, Andrews County Judge Charlie Falcon passed away after health complications from a heart attack. The county has a process on how to fill that position. In the last Commissioners Court meeting, they announced that they will begin to accept applications for the position of interim county judge. The application portal ends next Tuesday at 5. That person will take over at a special November election. However, they'll be filling in lots of responsibilities left behind by Falcon.
There are different committees that Charlie was on, and some of us took some of those committees. Some of the things that had to be done, we had to sign different paperwork or whatever because those were done by the judge themselves.
The next interim county judge could be announced in the next 2 weeks. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. And across Texas, fire department leaders are pushing to provide help with mental health to firefighters. Department leaders in the state of Texas say they recognize that post-traumatic stress and other mental health issues are the biggest dangers of the job. According to the Odessa Fire Department, there has been an increase in firefighters attempting suicide. That's why both the Midland and Odessa departments are trying to bring awareness to this issue.
Fire departments have seen an increase in suicide attempts of firefighters really from 2000 beyond. It's even gotten worse with COVID, that more firefighters die every year of suicide than they do line of duty deaths.
Both Midland and Odessa fire departments provide counseling services to their firefighters. And in your health headlines, school is back up and running after the winter break, so that means back to school schedules for children and parents alike. As you adjust back to this routine, it's important to keep sleep as a priority. According to a study published by the APA using 50 years of research, loss of sleep can result in fewer positive emotions, even if you only lose a short amount of sleep. As school resumes after the winter break, students and parents need to readjust to the different routine. A lack of sleep can affect you physically and mentally.
That's when your body is resting all the way from the physiological to the mental. And if you don't get that, when you wake up, you're like, I'm so tired. I'm already tired. I'm starting out, already, at a deficit.
A lack of sleep and feeling tired throughout the school day can affect students' learning and mood at school. It can also lead to increased symptoms of anxiety, depression, and more. And this week, Medical Center Hospital got a $500,000 donation from the City of Odessa's American Rescue Plan Act funds. The hospital says that money will help open and operate a free diabetes clinic at the former MCH Urgent Care on 42nd Street. That clinic will be for low-income or non-insured diabetes patients. And West Texan drivers are bound to find bumpy roads in the Permian Basin. Most rely on cities, counties, and the state for those repairs. But for many private roads in West Odessa, roadwork falls into the hands of the homeowners. Some roads even have holes up to a foot deep. Car damage and safety are big concerns, especially in an emergency, when an ambulance or fire truck could take too long to traverse the deep potholes and exposed rocks. One West Odessan has started collecting donations and even set up a nonprofit so his neighbors can get a tax write-off. Meanwhile, the county has said it would take millions to fix these roads.
My goal is to get these roads back into a better condition and back into the condition they were at when we first bought here. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to anything. I'm dedicating my time and my free time and stuff like that to get this road done just because I live here and I want a better road.
Rodriguez is worried that in an emergency, an ambulance or fire truck would take too long to traverse the deep potholes and exposed rocks. And speaking of West Odessa, Ector County Judge Dustin Fawcett is hosting a town hall tomorrow to hear from West Odessans. It will be at Buddy West Elementary School tomorrow night at 6:30. Commissioner Mike Gardner will be there with the judge to answer questions, along with a representative from the State Association of Fire and Emergency Districts. Fawcett says he wants to talk about the, quote, different governmental mechanisms available for unincorporated areas. And across the nation, the presumed Republican frontrunner, former President Donald Trump, was not on the campaign trail today, but at his civil fraud trial in New York. In the case, Trump is accused of falsifying financial documents for a decade. CBS News correspondent Bradley Blackburn has the latest from outside the courthouse in Manhattan.
Former President Donald Trump didn't mince words on the final day of the New York civil trial that could shape the future of his real estate empire.
She's a political hack, the Attorney General. The judge is obviously extremely friendly with the group. They don't have any facts. They don't have any evidence against us.
Earlier in the day, Trump delivered a blistering courtroom speech, also attacking New York Attorney General Letitia James and the judge, Arthur Engoron. This is a fraud on me. What's happened here, sir, is a fraud on me, Trump said. You can't listen for more than 1 minute. This has been a persecution, he directed at Engoron, prompting the judge to cut him off and tell Trump's attorneys to control your client. In a pretrial ruling, Engoron found that Trump committed years of fraud by lying about his wealth on financial statements sent to banks and other financial institutions.
I don't know that the Attorney General has provided dispositive testimony because, frankly, the banks were happy with this. They thought they made money. They got additional clients.
James is asking the judge to impose some $370 million in penalties and forbid Trump from conducting business in New York.
I trust that justice will be done, and I'm confident in that.
Let's remember that before I walked into court, we had already lost. That was clear with his motion for summary judgment. Before witnesses, before experts.
Among the allegations James has brought, she says Trump falsely claimed his Fifth Avenue penthouse was nearly 3 times its actual size. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Trump told CBS News' Robert Costa that he expects to keep attending his trials across the board in the coming months, including the special counsel trials on classified documents and January 6th. And 4 days ahead of the Iowa caucus, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are back on the campaign trail. Haley and DeSantis have gone hard after each other as they scrambled to be the Republican alternative to former President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues and your family's issues, and solely to turn around this country.
We have a new generational leader that puts the negativity and baggage of the past and focuses on the solutions of the future.
Voter turnout will be key, and with feet of snow already on the ground and record temperatures expected below zero, the campaigns are working hard to make sure voters show up. And now you're looking at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website, CBS7.com. Still ahead, schools around the country can now apply for federal dollars to help improve air quality. We'll talk about what led to this decision next on CBS7 News at 9. In some environmental news, schools around the country can now apply for federal dollars to help improve air quality. The Biden administration announced today that it is releasing $32 million for schools across the country to improve that air quality. The money is for schools to research how they can change their air systems and energy policy on campus. The EPA says the money will reduce carbon emissions in communities, allowing students to learn in a clean air environment.
There are millions of kids going to school every day, and we want our kids to be learning and growing in school environments that are as healthy as possible. 1 in 13 children in this country has asthma. And if you are a poor child or a child of color, you are more likely to have asthma.
Local governments can start applying for the money right away. The EPA says that they will announce when the funds will be given to schools later this year.
Well, we have been tracking a lot of wind this evening, gusts at 50 miles an hour across the area. It's not going to let up overnight tonight. We'll talk about when it will let up and what this front's going to do to Friday's forecast next.
This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now, an update from Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller.
Well, let's take a look outside at some very messy conditions. Lots of blowing dust. Currently, wind is up to about 50 miles an hour in gusts, knocking down visibilities to 1 mile right now. In and around the Wink area, about 4 miles over towards Odessa, 3-mile visibility in Fort Stockton, even down towards Marfa, Alpine. We're seeing about 2.5-mile visibility. Presidio at 2-mile visibility. So that dust is really decreasing things. Watch out on the interstate. Visibility at 3 miles in Big Spring with gusts of 21 there, but gust up to 50 miles an hour here over the last hour across the Midland, Odessa area. And it's not going to let up. Look at that. Wink. Tropical storm force gust up to 69 miles an hour right now. 48-mile-an-hour gust in the Pecos area, so that is going to continue to bring us strong winds in the forecast into the overnight hours as they can get intense and above 50 miles an hour plus into the overnight hours. It's all being caused by this little disturbance rolling across portions of the plains. That is dragging a cold front down across portions of West Texas. So again, that is moving in, and we're going to see chillier air start to roll into the area associated with it. Now, these winds are not going to let up too much. We're not going to see much in the way of moisture. Maybe a couple of clouds, maybe a sprinkle or two across parts of the northern Permian Basin, but more wind than anything else through the morning hours. That's the biggest story of the Futurecast winds. Staying up overnight tonight into the early morning hours before they start to decrease a little bit. So as we see winds down around 20, 25 miles an hour into the early morning hours, it's going to drop wind chill values down into the upper teens, low 20s first thing in the morning. But you can see a general decrease in the winds coming up for tomorrow afternoon, except the mountain areas may stay up a little bit for Friday. We'll continue this clock ahead into Saturday because we're going to see the winds kick back up later on in the afternoon as that next cold front starts to move in across parts of the Big Spring area by about 5 o'clock. Now, this is all that Arctic air we've been talking about that's really going to bring the chill back to the forecast into the latter part of the weekend, early part of next week. Tonight, though, we're going to carry these high wind warnings through the morning hours, western Permian Basin into the Trans-Pecos Mountain areas, southeast of Mexico, as those gusts could be above 60 miles an hour, gust up to 55 miles an hour plus across the Permian Basin, and plenty of blowing dust through the early morning hours on Friday. So for the rest of tonight, winds are going to stay up. Dust is going to be stirring around across the area as we'll see those temperatures slide down into the upper 20s overnight tonight. So that's going to drag wind chill values down 15 to 25 degrees across parts of the Permian Basin into the Trans-Pecos first thing in the morning, as we'll slowly see winds calm down by the afternoon, but it's going to stay chilly and into the lower 50s. In your CBS7 First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast, again showing you that temperatures are going to top out around 60 by the early afternoon on Saturday before that Arctic front hits, and that's going to dramatically drop temperatures down to 18 by Sunday morning, only back up around 30 on Sunday in the afternoon, then down around 10 degrees by Monday morning. Wind chill values with all the wind could be down into negative territory to single digits by early Monday morning. And we'll see the temperatures bottom out around 9 degrees by Tuesday. So we're looking at least 36, I should say up to 72 hours of cold, freezing air across the Permian Basin. Temperatures at or below freezing. But the good news is we're going to see a warm up next week before another front, another shot at some maybe Arctic air later next week. But all in all, a dry forecast here all the way through next week.
While there is an overall uptick in core inflation, the annual rate of consumer level inflation is down considerably. What this means for you and your wallet, next on CBS 7 News at 9. The rate of inflation improved significantly over the course of 2023, according to new data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. But that doesn't necessarily mean that things you buy are getting cheaper. And those continued high prices could mean we're also in for continued high interest rate. Ivan Rodriguez reports.
The prices of U.S. consumer goods and services continued to rise in 2023, capping a year of progress towards reining in decades high inflation.
Inflation increased a little bit faster than expected during the month of December, but we're still seeing progress, moving in the right direction, albeit slowly.
Federal data released Thursday shows a 3.4% increase in prices last year, down by nearly half from December 2022, when the inflation rate was at 6.5%.
2023 was a year where we saw inflation, the rate of inflation come down dramatically. Now, that doesn't mean prices are coming down, just means they're not going up as fast. But the important point is that we're now back to a situation where income is growing faster than inflation.
The economic picture for consumers is improving. The cost of food and energy have come down significantly from 2022. But many households are still struggling, especially as the cost of shelter, medical care, and motor vehicle insurance continue to rise.
They're still feeling the effects of high prices and maybe income that hasn't necessarily kept up with that or has barely kept up, and so they haven't seen an increase in buying power.
Despite meaningful progress on inflation, Bankrate.com's Greg McBride predicts the December numbers will likely put a damper on investors' hopes of interest rate cuts by early spring.
The Fed is likely to cut rates this year, but it's probably not going to happen to the middle or back half of the year, and that too is just contingent upon us continuing to see further improvement.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Still ahead, chilly temperatures call for lots of soup. Coming up next on CBS7 News at 9, we're talking about a deal at Panera that could save you some money. Plus, a final look at weather on CBS7 News at 9. All right, before we go, January is National Soup Month, and a well-known bakery chain known for their sandwiches and wraps is celebrating with a new deal. Panera Bread is offering a cup of soup for $1 alongside an entree. But this order has to be placed on the company's app with the code SOUP. In addition to this souped up special, Panera also announced 2 new menu additions, the bacon avocado melt and the Southwest chicken melt.
But not soup.
But not soup, not new soups. But they have lots of soups.
Okay.
I will go to Panera for some $1 soup.
Well,
I really like soup.
Yeah. Well,
and it's good temperature for some soup.
Yeah, it's soup weather out
Absolutely.
there. We're going to deal with this wind in our forecast overnight tonight. It'll be rattling the windows as gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Lots of dust affecting a lot of people out there. Wind chill values first thing in the morning could be down into the upper teens to low 20s, so keep that in mind as you head off to work and school. We'll see a little less wind by late tomorrow. The Arctic air, though, is on the way, and temperatures take the plunge late on Saturday, and it looks like sub-freezing temperatures starting Saturday night, continuing all the way through Tuesday afternoon.
All right, so I need to stock up on soup and lots of blankets.
There you go.
All right, thanks for joining us for CBS 7 News at 9 on the CW. We have more news coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10.